he looked like he was wearing a solid white shirt. And that's not what he wore when we went out. And I remember thinking, where did he get that white long-sleeved Oxford style shirt? And why is he wearing it now while he's leaving my house? I mean, it wasn't from my house. I didn't have a shirt like that in my house. So, and then when he kind of waved or signaled to Buhanda to go with him, then he got up and they said they'd help me get my car out of the garage and the next day. Next morning they'd call and get my car out of the garage, the parking garage where I left it. So I remember the next morning I thought, that was really weird. I wonder if anyone went through my house. I kind of wondered if Jonathan, this one guy that I'd been dating who was such a weird, seemed going through all of my belongings, and I think he was informing someone about me, maybe lawyers, maybe someone else. But I kind of wondered if there was a bug, if he'd planted a bug in my house, and then since I wouldn't let him back in my house when I pushed him out that one night, I wouldn't let him come in. I mean, I kind of wondered, well, did the FBI then go in to take something out, or was it just random that I met them and just a completely separate thing? It could have just been completely separate. But I did sort of wonder what Garza had been up to while I was in the room with Buhanda. And, I mean, later, I thought about it. So, they both left, and then the next morning, when I sobered up, I felt really kind of stunned. I was in shock. And I thought, I don't know, I remember that I felt really used. I mean, I felt assaulted. Like, they had made this pretense about the FBI and working for the FBI. And then they'd groped me, came into my house when I didn't want them to be in my house. And I really felt sort of humiliated. And then I started to think, oh my gosh, maybe they are not even FBI because of what they've done. And I thought, I mean, I'd seen the card from Buhanda that had the FBI emblem on it, but I thought, you know, people can make fake cards. And I never saw a card from Garza, although I did ask to see their licenses, so I did see their driver's licenses. But I guess I just, I started to wonder if they were imposters, if they had anything to do, if they were even with the FBI. So I was kind of freaked out. And I called someone, and I was still in touch with Robin Bechtold at that time, even though he had raped me. I tried to put it aside, and I hadn't really recognized the fact that it really was rape, and that being incapacitated means you are not able to consent to that, and that he'd had that kind of sex education and knowledge from Claremont McKenna. So he knew very well what he had done. And he was not drunk. He had been playing slots at some video machine and winning money, and was not intoxicated at all when I was very drunk, and with girlfriends and people that I'd known for years from high school that I trusted. And it wasn't like I got drunk all the time either. I mean, there were only a few times that I did get drunk, and when I did, it was like the occasion was seized upon. So I remember calling him, and he sounded panicked, Robin did, and said, don't report them. He's like, no. He's like, no, I don't know. He sounded distressed. He said, don't report them. And I just remember thinking, why not? Why is he telling me not to say anything? And then, and I had talked to the guy Jonathan briefly over the phone, and he was just quiet. He didn't say anything, but he was quiet about it. And then all of a sudden Dylan was calling me. This guy that was best friends with Ryan Barnes, who was the boyfriend of Krista Schneider, whose father worked for the Department of Justice at one time as a prosecuting attorney. And I later found out that Krista's very good friend, her mother, Krista's friend's mother, dated Dick Whittemore, who was was a huge factoring figure in the lawsuits that I had. I mean, Dick Whittemore was running it was Dick Whittemore and John Camp, both from Bullivant Hauser Bailey firm. And John did a lot of the work, I think, the footwork, but Dick was sort of the supervising person. I mean, he was the one, I think, that was supervising. He had seniority over John Camp. And come to find out, all of this information that I'd been giving to Krista Schneider was going straight from her to Dick Whittemore through friends that she had. I had no idea. And, you know, for 2 years or more, she built my trust. And it was sort of interesting because whenever it looked like I was about to just lose everything, like the lawsuit or was coming to an end, she'd kind of disappear from sight, like she didn't care about calling me up and doing anything. But the minute it looked like things were going full speed, she wanted to distract me in a million different ways, which I now can look back on and see that it was a favor to them, because they wanted to distract me from working on a good answer to their motions. So a lot of these people are connected to each other. And this is all during the time that I have these lawsuits pending to protect my reputation. So then Dylan called, who, like I said, was showing up one time when I was out with Jonathan at a bar, when Jonathan wanted to dump me there and I guess leave me with Dylan. I said no. And all of a sudden Dylan was calling me up, inviting me to a barbecue. And I said I would go, but my car was in the garage, and could he help me get my car to the garage, at the parking garage downtown. And nobody, Raul had not called me, and nobody had called me to pick the car up, so my vehicle up. So then, I believe I left a message with Buhanda, and then it was after I left a message, nobody called me back, but then Dylan was calling me. So possibly Dylan's connected to the FBI as well. And for all I know, Robin's connected to the FBI. And they all know each other. I mean, I think the FBI knows a lot, and they are not telling me most of it. So Dylan called, and he picked me up, picked up my car, and then I followed him over to his house. There's a big pool party, a lot of people there. I mean, beautiful body people. Beautiful body people. You know, gym, triathlon type persons. And they were all wearing, the women were all just gorgeous and wearing bikinis, and then I remember I was I was the only one not wearing a bikini. I had a two-piece on. It was black and white two-piece, but it wasn't a bikini. And I just sort of sat there on the side of the pool, and I was stunned. I think I was in absolute shock over what had happened with the FBI. And prior to meeting them, I had also met somebody by the name Mike Tanzer at a different club one night. And after I met Mike Tanzer, I then was meeting the FBI. I mean, I was still hanging out a little bit with Jonathan at that time, and then I pretty much quit hanging out with him around the time that I met the FBI agents. But Tanzer I had seen one time at a bar that I went to with Krista a lot. And I went in there because I left my shawl at the bar. It was like a long, very long, cream-colored kind of knit wrap around my shoulders scarf, but it was sort of a shawl. I wore it sort of down as a shawl. And I went back to this place to pick it up, and I saw Tanzer there. But I didn't meet him at that time. I just saw him there for the first time. And I saw that he noticed me. And then I later met him at a different club. And that was while we were dancing. I was there with a friend named Erica Bellinger. And it was some sort of pajama party club. Erica and I were not wearing pajamas, but everybody else was wearing pajamas. I didn't know that it was a pajama party thing. And some kind of Bacardi pajama party. And I saw him out of the corner of my eye. I think that I noticed him because he must have been looking at me, because otherwise I wouldn't have felt his eyes on me. But then I made some comment about his slippers, and asked if wasn't he worried that someone was going to step on his feet. And he said no, and then we started dancing. And he had some sort of group up in the balcony that didn't completely seem like the nicest group. I mean, even though I was intoxicated with my friend Erica, I had this feeling that some of the people there were just sort of making fun of me, or that not all of them are very nice people. And I'm not sure who he was there with, but he did go to that balcony area at some point. And anyway, that's how we met, and then we hung out a couple times. He wanted to keep going out, but I was very focused on my lawsuits. And whenever he called, I didn't call him back right away because I was right in the middle of working on my lawsuits. And then I later found out he was someone said, oh, his family owns a vineyard and they have like some wine business, and yeah, that was interesting and that was great, but I was working on my lawsuits, and so I really wasn't swayed by the attentions of any man. Or, I wasn't bisexual either. I mean, I was interested in men, but I was very focused on what I was doing at that time. And I knew it was important, because not correcting what was done to my reputation would affect my entire future. And that was far more important than any date or any relationship I could have entered into at that time. So, this is a tangent to go on talking about Tanzer, but since I kind of met him right before I met the FBI, I'm talking about it. And through Tanzer, I met one of the Heinz heirs, I guess, is how he was described to me by somebody. Like the Heinz ketchup people. I think they have other things that they do too besides ketchup, but and mustard.